Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Psych YouTube channel, where today I'm bringing you the second edition of the Football Psych Podcast. Now I've got another special guest today in the Blue Van Man, and it's an absolute cracker. So make sure that if you like the video, give it a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and why not click the notification bell so you don't miss an upload. It would be rude not to. I do hope you enjoy the video, and I'll catch you at the end. Welcome to the second episode of the Football Psych Podcast. Now, once again, I'm joined by a very special guest. A little bit different today, as I have been watching him since he blew up on YouTube a few years ago. He kind of does content across the board, really. A bit of football, does food reviews, but just all sorts, to be honest. He's a character. I'm delighted to welcome the Blue Van Man to the Football Psych Podcast. First and foremost, how are you?
I'm all right, mate. I've just recorded a video, me cooking a burger, so I'm a bit full again. But yeah, everything's fine, mate. All tickety-boo, thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. Just to let you know, guys, I will be putting all his links in the description below, his YouTube channel and his socials, so do go and check him out. If you don't find him funny, then there's definitely something wrong with you, because I have been for years. So, am I right in saying you have a football segment on your channel?
I do, yes. I have a segment called, and this is a play on words, so listen carefully. It's called For Fox's Sake. It is a play on words because a lot of Leicester City fans do actually say quite a lot. Yeah, that's it. I just give my opinion on the Leicester game. That's all it is, kind of thing.
Because you've also appeared on the kickoff a few times with True Geordie and Lawrence. So how's that been, really, to go from having your own little segment where you're just talking about football and then you go on to a show like that?
It's quite amazing. Obviously, if the people who are watching haven't seen me, Brian, True Geordie and Lawrence featured me on their True News segment. And I'd only got a couple of thousand subscribers, and when they put me out there on True News, and my channel just blew up. And I have been on the kickoff. Yes, Brian and Lawrence very kindly invited me on the kickoff, and I met them. It's a day I will always remember. You know, it's one of them. Yeah, it's amazing, great stuff.
I can imagine. So, really wanted to start off with like a simple one, to be honest. What does sports psychology mean to the Blue Van Man?
Well, you've got to remember now, like I'm 52, mate. You know what I mean? There wasn't, when I played football, and I was never any good at football. I'm not one of those kind of people that said, oh, I had trials at Nottingham, and you'd say, what, Crown Court? You know, I've never really been into psychology stuff. I know it's something new that's coming about. I do think it helps people nowadays, because to be mentally prepared to go out in front of 75,000 fans at Old Trafford week in, week out. Well, no fans at the moment, which is probably another talking point, because you've gone from one extreme to another. You know, you've got to be mentally prepared, and I've also think you've got to be mentally supported as well. You know, there's a lot of football fans who would just love to play for Leicester. I would have loved to have played for Leicester up front. You know, and a lot of fans would give their right arms, their right legs to be hopping around on the pitch. And a lot of these players probably don't show the love that a supporter does, but they've got to be mentally prepared. You know, to buy a player for £50 million is an investment, and you've got to look after that investment. You wouldn't buy a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a brand new transit van and not have it serviced. So I think nowadays, yeah, it does need looking. Players do need looking after.
That's really interesting, actually, because you're right. That analogy, it just, you know, you can't just buy something and expect it to be in the same condition throughout the career or throughout its lifespan. It needs some maintenance in some form. So, moving on to some more topical stuff, I'm sure you've seen the news story recently of Karen Carney and what she said on Sky Sports about Leeds. So, of course, in the world of football, and more importantly, football media. She did a 5-minute, 10-minute kind of monologue, and 10 seconds gets clipped and put on Twitter, and it was saying that Leeds have only got promoted because of COVID, basically, last season. Now, what's your kind of take on things? Because it did get quite nasty in the end, and she deleted her Twitter account. Do you think that Leeds added fuel to the fire and should know that they have a big following and people do whatever they say? Or do you think football's gone a little bit too soft and the modern game, kind of needs to stop making things so dramatic?
I think it's one of those situations where somebody's offended just for the sake of being offended. I would have imagined if Chris Sutton had said that, or Robbie Savage, they wouldn't have had the abuse. Well, they probably would have had the abuse. I mean, Chris Sutton said about Brendan Rodgers coming to Leicester, and I tweeted Chris Sutton. I didn't abuse him. I didn't wish him dead or anything like that. I just politely told him I thought he was talking out his backside. But these people, and Karen included, they're there to create talking points in the game of football. If people just agreed with everything, then it would be boring. And she would just, she might have been set up to say that. I don't honestly know. But I do think, we have got to be more, not forgiving, but just take it more as it's a conversation. If somebody said that down the pub, you wouldn't hit them over the head with a bottle of Lowenbrow, would you? Just for the sake of it. So it's, just take it for what it is. It's part of the entertainment. It's part of a talking point. I think she was wrong. I don't think it was COVID that got Leeds promoted, because every team went in the same situation. But there again, she's doing a job and she's created a talking point, and unfortunately it's backfired on her. And I think it's going to be one of these situations where one day, who was the girl who killed herself, or who, when she'd had an argument with a boyfriend, she committed suicide before she went to court?
Caroline Flack.
Yeah, that's it. I think, if we're not careful, we're going to have another Caroline Flack situation where a presenter gets abused because of something they've said. They don't go out there to be offensive and upset somebody on purpose. But I think that we've got to be careful. I'll just give you a little example, right? Because when Brian and Lawrence had me on the kickoff, I went down there, I did the kickoff, and you get this thing. Oh, I'm a star. This is not how I am, but some people would say, oh, I'm a star, I'm a celebrity, I'm mixing with the big boys. And then you think, right, well, on your way back, I'm driving back up the M1, you're thinking, I'm wondering if this will ever happen again. Unfortunately, it did. Brian and Lawrence and Elliot have always been in touch with me. It's not like they've used me and abused me and then dumped me. They're still there. And I think that these television companies, with the Caroline Slack thing, they should offer more support to these celebrities, because when all said and done, you're in the public eye, and the next minute you could be gone, and it's such a drastic change to your lifestyle. It could hurt. So, I think that we've got to take more for what people say. Don't take it as abuse, and there's no need to go and abuse somebody. Just say, I disagree with that. Why do you want to go and hurt them? Don't get you anywhere. So.
Well, I think that's a really good point. You just have to look at social media in general. You had recently, just in December actually, Alex Runarsson made his debut for Arsenal, 25 years old, so maybe a bit more accustomed to things, but never been in that spotlight. And he made a mistake against Man City in a football game at work, but he got absolutely hammered by his own fans and then deleted his Twitter account. You think there's so many accounts you see on Twitter where they've got a football player as their profile picture, and they pop them up all over the place, got about 10 followers, and say what they want and leave. And it's like, I don't think they're aware of the impact that has on someone, because it's not one person, it's thousands, and that's the issue.
I think when somebody leaves a comment that's meant to be hurtful, I think they are aware. I think a lot of people go out there to actually, it's the way of the world now. I think people do go out there to hurt people. I think what it is, they look at their own sorry, sad little life. I've had it on my channel. I've I did a live a few months ago, and somebody says, I hope you die of cancer. Now, my mum died of cancer. No, it's all right. You're shaking your head. But my comeback was, if you're going to have a go, but put some effort into it. Because that was just a lazy attempt. If you're going to have a go at me, make it sure it's a good one, because you ain't going to hurt me. Fortunately, like I've said before, I'm 52. I'm mentally strong. I don't care what people really say about me. I'm okay. A 25-year-old lad trying to play and goal for Arsenal, you could destroy him. So.
No, it's a very good point. I think the age is key, because we all know that being a footballer, you're so sheltered. You know, you've got an agent and you've got people around that warn you of it, but nothing can prepare you for thousands of people to send you hate, and just because, you know, you've made a mistake, but you're at work, you know, it happens. We are all human. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a football podcast or conversation without mentioning COVID at the moment. So, recently you had a few Man City players, a rumour that Kyle Walker had a Christmas party, and people like Sancho come over from Germany. Are we being too harsh on them again as footballers? Are they just human? Not everyone, a lot of people have broken the rules or relaxed the rules for their own sake, or actually because of their responsibility as role models, should they be doing more?
Do you know what? It's such a tough one, that, because, you know, you've got a lot of people out there who are practicing and preaching what should be happening. You've only got to look at people like Piers Morgan, Kay Burley, and the other one. You know, you've got Piers Morgan saying, oh, we should cancel Christmas. So what if, you know, other religions have cancelled their Christmas, their religious festival, sorry, not Christmas. And then you've got Kay Burley that's drilling all these politicians, and then Piers Morgan's been to Antigua for Christmas. How is that fair? How can you sit there every morning telling us what to do and what we shouldn't do, and then you go and do something completely... It's irresponsible. When all's said and done, Piers Morgan was in Tier 4. He shouldn't really have left London. He left London, he went abroad, spreading, you know, could have been spreading COVID. Footballers, yes, they have a responsibility to do the right thing. I think that they do have a lack of judgment. I would have thought probably footballers think, because they're being tested so often, you know, there's a little chance of them spreading it. I don't honestly know, mate. It's such a tough question, that. The COVID thing is, well, let's just see where we are in 12 months with COVID. Because I still personally think we'll be on lockdowns. I still think we'll be restricted. I don't think the virus is going to change that much. I still think we'll all be wearing masks or being told to wear masks. I just don't think it's looking very good at all. So,
well, to carry on with the COVID theme, I mean, football has seemed to just carry on, really. There was a little break, but when they got things in place and felt, you know, they had a decent enough strategy to kind of to put professional football back on, that was great, but it's not quite the same, is it? Without fans, that's massive. I know you're a Leicester fan yourself, and I was at the King Power recently for work. I was filming an under-23s game, and it was very strange, you know, to be in a Premier League stadium, and it was empty, and it felt wrong almost. You know, there should be fans there experiencing it with the players. So just how much of an effect has that had on the Premier League, do you think?
I think it's had a massive effect. I think you see, this is looking at it from a fan's point of view. You know, my daughter Jin, she just got into football, and I never thought I'd be going down the football with my daughter, right? And I love it. And looking at it from a fan's point of view, I can't see. I could understand why they brought football back to finish the season, and I can understand why they're doing it now. But we need fans in the ground, and I don't know. I don't honestly know the answer, to be fair. I don't know. I think there's more, you know, I mean, the infection rate on COVID has gone up since the kids have gone back to school. You know, you can't deny that, really. I think if we did let a few thousand fans in a ground, I don't know. What do you do? Do you take the temperature? I mean, I have to take my temperature every time I go to work. I walk in. We take it other times of the day just to keep on top of it, to keep a record of people being. I don't know. Do you take the temperature on the ground as you get there and tell people they've got to be in the ground at a certain time? And if I take my daughter, I don't want to sit 2 seats away from me. I want her next to me, kind of thing. So I don't know, mate. But we need fans back in the ground, because I think if we haven't got fans going into the ground, if we haven't got little Johnny going into the ground at the age of 7, he might not fall in love with football. And if we haven't got Johnny playing football with his mates and then wanting the ambition to play for Leicester City, I know other fans will say, I want to play for West Ham or whoever. But if you haven't got little Harvey Barnes, 10 years ago, if he weren't going down the ground and falling in love with Leicester and the smell of football, where we're going to be? We need fans in the ground, and we've got to sort something out. It's got to be quick. We've got to sort it out quick.
Well, that's such an interesting point. What about the new generation? It's all well and good. The fans that have had opportunities to go and watch their team for years, and that's awful. But what about the young kids who maybe they had their first ticket to go and watch their local team play, and it got cancelled, and that's a massive impact on the new generation coming through, and the grassroots impact is massive anyway. But I guess it's important for the players as well, but I think it works both ways. If you're having an absolute stinker, you're probably relishing the fact you haven't got 50,000 people letting you know you are. But then also, how many goals have we conceded this season? And sometimes the fans and the energy in the stadium gives the team an energy at certain times and lifts them and maybe keeps them concentrated, and that's definitely not been there.
Yeah, I mean, I bet Harry Maguire was so happy when he came down the King Power to an empty stadium. I bet he absolutely loved it,
Oh, definitely. When you're returning to your old club, I think, he's not going to be complaining that there's not 50,000 people, 40,000 people letting him know that, what they think of him, let's say that. So, kind of an interesting one again. Would you have traded your life at 16, 17? You would have been in the academy anyway, but to become a professional footballer, because we all know what comes with the money and the fame and the glory potentially and the success, but is it worth it with all the baggage that comes with it, all that negativity?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have been when I was 17, it was in the mid 80s. We hadn't even had the World Cup 90 after the World Cup where football exploded, didn't it? When Sky got the hands on Premier League football and changed it. You're looking at the 80s, it was when Everton were a good team. Well, they are a good team now, but I don't honestly know. I would have said in the 80s, yes, I'd have probably swapped my life for football. But I do know of a few footballers, and it ain't gone the right for them after they've finished the career. They seem to think life was fast and great and it always continues. And it doesn't. I inherited some money once off my mother. I don't know if you've seen my 35k in debt video. I spent all that. I bought a Ford Explorer and all that kind of, stupid things. And then I started to go into debt because I enjoyed that lifestyle. And I don't know. What people say to me, would you have done YouTube when you were 17? And I don't think I would have done because I haven't got my experience now. Do you know what? No, I don't think I would have traded football for, a 17-year-old life. I think, although I've always been an idiot in my life, I've always realised that you've got to earn money and you've got to pay your way. And even when I was in debt, I still paid all my debt off. But no, I don't think I would have wanted football. There's a lot of pressure, even back in the 80s.
And I think on top of that, it's, if you play at a top level and you succeed and realise all your dreams really as a young kid who loves football, but if you're lucky you play to 35, if you're very lucky, so it's all well and good, but it's a 15-year career maximum really, and then it's kind of like you've got to find a new purpose in life, and I think a lot struggle with that, and I think a lot of it goes unnoticed. You have some ex-pros coming out about mental health and But I think just that buzz that they get every day, and they've got a routine and a purpose, and they're a footballer, and that's what they do. And then at 30, 35, that just ends. And it's kind of like, well, that's not old. You know, that's when some people reach the career they want to be working in. You think there's a lot of time left to fill. I think that can be really difficult for players.
Yeah, I actually, funny enough, we've got a health and safety bloke at my place of work, and his name's David Bell, and he actually played for Leicester when they got relegated from the Championship. He only played about 8 games. He came in on loan. I think he's played for Coventry and Norwich. I'm not sure. And I was chatting to him about it, and he was saying that how the league don't prepare you for the end of your career. They don't give you any help whatsoever. In fact, if I could get hold of him, mate, that'd make a real good podcast for you. You know, he talks some real sense. He don't talk sense about health and safety at work, but his footballing thing, he's really good. He's classic. And he talks of how professional footballers are basically just swept under the rug. You know, once they've had the use, they're like a greyhound when people just let them loose, and that's what it is. You know, that's how football is.
I think you're right there. They are always treated like animals. It's kind of like, well, 30, 35 now, you're a bit tired, you know, you're a bit lame. Well, you're no use to us anymore. So, and I don't think there's anything in place. It's all well and good kind of having a psychologist there and, you know, player care and all that while you're playing. But when you stop, there's absolutely nothing. So I think that's interesting to hear it from the horse's mouth and, you know, hear it from someone you know and go, there's absolutely nothing there. You just get left. Out.
He has actually been in touch. He told me that he'd been in touch with the FA, and you know, because he didn't have many problems when he left work. You know, he went out and he's thought, right, my career's over. I've got to do this now. So he was mentally aware of what he'd got to do. But there's a lot of players that don't. And when you're earning, say, 50 grand a week back then, and then all of a sudden that 50 grand a week just stops, and you don't know any other trade. What do you do? There's not many jobs in the media. There's not many jobs in management. Those who do go into management are useless sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's only so many jobs. You know, your Gary Nevilles and your Jamie, they're lucky. There's only so much TV work, and I think it's a little bit congested anyway, just because they're trying to find something to do. But just to end really is, you're kind of familiar with football YouTube. You've been lucky enough to go on one of the biggest shows on the platform and talk about yourself on yours. Do you think football is well represented on YouTube, firstly? And then secondly, even if it is represented quite well, is the quality of it at an adequate level?
I don't know. I don't consider my For Fox's Sake as one of the best programs on YouTube for football. I just go on there because I just like to give my opinion. The Kickoff is an excellent program. You know, you go in and they sit down and they plan what they're going to talk. You know, they're very professional. Brian is very professional. He knows what he wants. He's excellent. It was good to see Jack Mate. He's got something to do with West Ham as well now, hasn't he? You know, and it's good to see that a fan, can go on there and probably talk as a fan and not as. I do tend to find that some of these football presenters are scripted. You know what I mean? It just seems a bit. Some of the things they say are just like sound bites. Where when I do For Fox's Sake, I'll just say it how I see it, and I don't really care. And I think Jack Mate's the same. I think Jack Mate will grow and grow as he gets on the West Ham thing. I think he'll be really, really good because he's quite an intelligent lad on the football scene. If it's represented well, I don't know. I think we've just been talking about players when they come to the end of the career. I think, you know, players that come to the end of the career will start turning to things like YouTube and Twitch and start their own channels. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of football knowledge out there. And to go and say, just as an example, my mate at work, David Bell, the health and safety, I could get him sitting next to us and we could watch a game of football and discuss it. Me, the amateur, Dave, the professional, and we could weigh it up. And I'm sure we could get, you know, quite a lot of numbers watching us because it's a different take on the football. So
I think Ben Foster actually, I think he's one of the first ones who's actually like ventured onto football, but he calls himself the Cycling Goalkeeper or the Cycling Footballer or something. So it's a bit of a mix, but you think, yeah, why waste all that knowledge? You don't need to go on Sky Sports to say it.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've heard of it now you've said that. Yeah,
You
we're
might-
on about it at work.
And probably come into the news really recently because I can't remember who they were playing, but whoever he conceded against, he sets up a GoPro in his goal, and the player who scored or whatever come and celebrate in front of the GoPro. So I think that's kind of become a bit of a joke. But why waste that knowledge? You know, put it to use. You know, fans want to hear it. I think that's the most important thing. Fans really want to hear it. You know, what it takes to become a footballer, the inside kind of scoop. But I think it just gets wasted.
Yeah, well, these you know, Rory on the kickoff. He started his own channel up as well, and that's really good. You know, Rory's quite an intelligent lad. When I know he goes on. I sit there and I can't get a word in when I'm on the kickoff because he's like, yeah. But Rory set his channel up, and it's really good to just sit down there and watch. And he goes on these lives and he chats with other fans, and the fans see football so much different from these professionals. I mean, I'm very critical of Maddison at the moment. I think he's an exceptional talent. I just don't think he puts as much effort in as he should. And I prefer Tillemans. And, you know, Leicester fans keep, you're having a go at Maddison again. I'm having a go because I think he could actually be really, really good. But then you'll see on Sky Sports how they rave about Maddison. And it's like, I'm thinking, are you actually watching what I watch, or are you just saying sound bites? That kind of thing. So, hopefully more footballers will take on YouTube and Twitch, and fans will see a footballer's perspective of it. Yeah.
And on top of that, I completely agree in terms of, I don't think there's any better voice than the fans' voice, because they are the ones that pay the money to go every week. And firstly, they've got a right to say it, but also it's not tainted by having a career playing for them or playing against their rivals. Fans there's no filter, is there? You say it how you see it, and I think that is the best way. So that is going to be it for this video, episode 2 of the Football Psych Podcast. I'd just like to thank the Blue Van Man again. Like I said, I will leave all his details in the description below. His YouTube channel, so go and subscribe if you haven't already. Go and check out his Twitter as well. And just a thank you to him again, really. I hope you did enjoy it, and I will see you in the next one.
Been crying so much to the poltergeist. Trying to hold on to love, but it's frosted.